Before we start today's video, let me just try and find the Euro million numbers for Friday because I seem to be Mystic Theo, not Mystic Meg, Mystic Theo, because I got it right. 4-0. Chelsea 4, Southampton 0. My prediction before the game last night. And lo and behold, we're here. 4-0. 4-0 winners. Clean sheet is what I said we needed. Clean sheet is what we delivered. Before we get into the video, please make sure you subscribe. Please make sure you give the video a thumbs up if you're new. Again, make sure you hit the Linktree link. There's all the links down in the description for you to be able to do what you need to do. But what a performance yesterday. Before we get onto the match, I do want to talk about, obviously, the protest which took place yesterday, Bovril Gate, 6 p.m. I was there. There was a handful. I'm going to say at least over 200 Chelsea fans were there last night. I don't want to spend too much time on the protest, I'll be honest. I think it's done what it needed to do. We need to continue to do things like that. My only thing I will say about the protest last night was it felt a bit Barry Chuckle. It felt a bit Chuckle Brothers with the banners and, throwing the dollars and chanting Roman Abramovich, Jose Mourinho. Like, I get it. I get it a little bit, but what has that done for us? I didn't want it to go down that road a little bit. I think when you look at the papers this morning, you're going to see the banners of Todd Bowley on there. You're going to see Steve throwing the American dollars. And, that's not really what I think the protest should have been about. I feel like the protest should have been more to do with, like actually making the points that we want to be heard and addressed by the owners a lot more clear. And it felt a little bit like Jeremy Beadle was about to walk out somewhere at some point. It just felt a bit gimmicky. Maybe that's the word I'm looking for. Very gimmicky at times. But look, we can't sit around moan about how our owners are treating us as fans and treating the club and how they're milking the club with a cash cow. And not do anything about it. So it's the first of many, hopefully, protests, maybe noisier protests than needed. Maybe more thought process needs to go into it in terms of, what is the message, clear message that we want to try and get across in a protest. But I don't think it hit the nail on the head yesterday, if I'm honest. I don't. I'd love to hear everyone's thoughts about that. Was you there? Was you part of the protest? Are you against the protest? I want to hear all of your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe. Leave your thoughts below about the protest. Are you protest in, Blueco out? Are you just one of these fans that just want to go to the game and enjoy the football? Which I'm sure 90% of us are. Are you one of those fans? Let us know your thoughts in the comments as well. But let's move over to the match because I feel that it was always going to be an easy game. One thing I did say, I said it in the podcast, I said it in yesterday's video as well, we have to guard against complacency against a team like Southampton. And there was no real surprises in the lineup, really. I did think Reece James might feature. I'll be honest, I don't think Reece James is going to be able to keep himself 100% fit for the rest of his playing career. I think he'll be one of those players that will have to have his minutes managed very, very closely up until the day he potentially retires, or if he drops down to a lower league, he might be able to sustain that a bit more. But he just doesn't seem like a player that is able to play back-to-back, continual games, consistently play football for us. And that's a big worry because I think when he's on his day, when he's on his game, Reece James is one of the best right-backs in the world. We know that. We know what he's capable of doing, but we're just not seeing that enough. And I think because we don't see it enough, it's hard to judge where he is currently in terms of his ability-wise. Is he lost a little bit of that quality? Has he still got it? We don't really know because we're not seeing it consistently enough. But there wasn't many surprises. The lineup was almost pretty much self-explanatory. Jurgensen in goal, we knew that. Malagusto, Tosin, Colwell, Cucurella, Moisés Caicedo, Enzo Fernandez, and Kunku on the left with Palmer as the 10, Sancho on the right, and Pedro Neto as our number 9. Now, I have to credit Pedro Neto because I felt like he done that job very, very well. I've been saying to Maresca, he needs to change things tactically. He needs to do something different. And he's slowly but surely showing us over the Villa game and in the game last night with Southampton that he's able to change things and adapt to the situations that he finds himself in with the injuries that we've currently got in the squad. So I'm not against Pedro Neto as a number 9. He wasn't even a false nine. He was an actual number nine, and he played that role really well. Um, but I have to say this: as the game kicked off, nerves started to creep in. You could feel the tension of that just by the crowd's reaction when Jorgensen's got the ball, when Southampton were pressing us slightly, a bit more than we probably thought they were going to in the game. It just kind of brought that anxiety into the stadium, and you could feel it, you could hear it. Um, and we had to weather the storm. We'll be honest, I thought they had some really good chances. I think Sulemana got beyond gusto a couple of times, and Tossen was there to clean up and recover. But it, you know, I suppose what I'm saying is, if you come against a team that's a bit more better in quality than Southampton, you might get punished in those situations. So it was a bit of a difficult start to the game. If I'm honest, I thought, the first 15 minutes it could have gone either way. I'll be honest. It wasn't just clear cut. We were dominating the ball a little bit more than Southampton in terms of possession, but it was even game at that point. So up until that first goal goes in, and Kunku with a very cheeky back post header beats Ramsdale to the ball, which I thought was really, really good goal for him. I think he needed that. We spoke about on these videos before about how, the confidence level seemed to be a lot lower than we expected for Christopher and Kunku. And I think when you could see what it meant to him, you could see that, he's clearly, there was almost like a sense of frustration in the celebration. I'm not sure who it was that went to sort of grip him when he celebrated, but he almost shrugs them off, and he looks to see who it was, and then he gets his balloon out, and you could sense there was frustration with Nkunku. But well deserved goal, well worked corner, and we get the goal. Now go 2-0 up. I think it was Pedro Neto with the next goal after that. Now Pedro Neto for me was outstanding in that game, assisted by Christopher Nkunku as well. Brilliant goal from Pedro Neto. I think now we know Jackson's out for a couple more weeks. We know that Mark Gu's out for a considerable amount of time as well. We have to start using Pedro Neto, I think, as the number nine. And if it works, he said after the game, he's done that previously for other clubs. He's done it for Wolves as well. So it's not like he, struggles in, he can't adapt to that. He clearly has done that before. That's something that he's used to doing. And I think with Neto, he looks the more calmer in front of goal. He's able to run in between defenders, make it difficult for them as well, whilst they're trying to pick him up. So I was really impressed with him. The third goal, Levi Colwell, brilliant. Again off the corner, off the free kick was brilliant. Happy birthday goal for Levi Colwell. It's his birthday today, 22. Couldn't believe that when they said he was 22. I mean, we forget how young Levi Colwell actually is. I mean, he's still technically, learning on the job. And he's captained the club at times as well. I think when you look back at some of the mistakes that he's made early on in the season, maybe I've been a bit too critical of him because he's 22 years of age, and he's still, as a central defender, he's still got another 15 years plus to learn and to build as a central defender. But you could see what the goal meant to him. Very well worked free kick, brilliant header by Levi Colwell. 3-0, half time hasn't even happened yet, and we're cruising the game now. And then 4-0, Cucurella. Cucurella is literally given the golden opportunity to score. No one picks him up. He's free in the middle of the box. Ramsdale wasn't able to save it. Brilliant shot. We love the celebration, of course, from Marc Cucurella. He makes it 4-0. Now, that was a very convincing performance from us, but as I say, there were moments in the game, especially early on, where we just didn't look very clinical in front of goal. We were sloppy with our passing in the final third of the game, and it just, again, you come up against a better opposition. We've got Arsenal coming up soon. We've got Tottenham coming up soon. We've got some really tough games, and I think if you come up against teams like that, you have to be able to take and strike while the iron is hot. And one player I do have to dig out for that is Cole Palmer, because again, another performance where, obviously pressure, confidence is low for him. Hasn't scored now, I think, in 4 games, maybe 5 games. You can tell that there's added pressure being given to Cole Palmer because of what he did last season. The expectation this season is to match or do better than last season. And you could see, again, even against Villa, he'd done the same. But again, last night, you could see he was snatching at chances. He wasn't taking those chances that he normally would. He would bury them, or he had a 1v1 with Ramsdale and wasn't able to take the chance very well. So I don't know. I don't know with Cole Palmer. I mean, I would have at 3-0, you're cruising the game. I potentially would have brought him off. I would have subbed him off as one of the early substitutions. I think Sancho was the one that came off first for Tariq George, and Neto came off, and Kunku, Caicedo, and Enzo. But I would have taken Cole Palmer off. Just maybe, you look at those games. I mean, he's going to be part of the Conference League squad now. He's added into it, so you expect him to play next week. But he needs to just maybe compose himself a little bit more in front of goal, because we know he's got the quality. The quality is not a question mark for him. We know he's got it. We've seen it last season and this season, but the chances he's getting himself into last season and even again earlier this season, he would be taking them and scoring those chances. And he just seems to be missing very easy opportunities. Maybe the pressure's got into him. Maybe the fact that he knows he's not playing as well as he can do. Maybe that's playing a small part in the back of his mind. But he has to start taking his chances. He doesn't want to. Every player goes through a bad bit of form throughout the season, but I think you don't want it to be prolonged, continued, extended any longer than it needs to be. So I'm hoping we can see a Cole Palmer goal soon. He's still got that brilliance in between the defenders. You saw it against Villa, you saw it again last night. He's still got that creativity. He just needs to bring the goals as well to him, and hopefully we get to see that Cole Palmer goal. Now I want to talk about Moisés Caicedo, another player who I thought played really well. The downside to Moisés Caicedo is he plays on the edge too much. He's on 9 yellow cards now. I think he was on 7 yellow cards before we played Aston Villa on Saturday. So he's picked up 2 in the last two games. Now, if he gets booked again against Leicester, our next game, he's going to get a 2-match ban. That 2-match ban will come into play against Arsenal and Tottenham. 2 big games. We can't afford to have Keenan Dewsbury-Hall, who I thought came on yesterday, played really well. But we can't afford to have Keenan Dewsbury-Hall against Arsenal and Tottenham. We just can't. Now, if you remember back I think was it Jose and Sergio Ramos? I think, look, I mean, if we can get through those Arsenal Tottenham games, get your yellow card against Tottenham. And then I think you miss, maybe it's like Ipswich and Fulham, I think, after that. I think after those games. But we need Moisés Caicedo. We can't afford. Look, he's a really good player, but I think one of the things he lacks is discipline, and some of his yellow cards. I think last night's was a silly foul. He doesn't need to do it. He just he needs to think a little bit more before he makes these challenges. And I think, like I said, we can't afford to not have him. We can't afford to not have someone as good as Moisés Caicedo in our midfield against Arsenal, against Spurs, Ipswich, Fulham, maybe. But we definitely need him for those games. So he can't pick up a yellow card against Leicester in a week's time, or just over a week's time. We need him for those big games coming up. So, look, I mean, it was a good performance. I was happy with Jorgensen in goal. I thought he played really well. I think at the end of the day, we know that the 2 goalkeepers have got their faults in them. But Jorgensen pulled off some really good saves yesterday. One was very spectacular, but I think, confidence still isn't there for him. He's got the ball, he's trying to play out from the back. It's not very convincing. The centre-backs don't seem to be convinced by him at the back either. So, sometimes you do have to just play it long and don't put your centre-backs under pressure, because in that first half especially, there was moments where he just doesn't look convincing on the ball. And that is a worry. Again, I keep referencing this, but when you come up against better opposition than we did against Southampton last night, you are going to be put under pressure there, and you have to be able to deal with the ball, clear your lines, help your defenders in that situation. But look, I mean, 3 points is 3 points. We're back into the Champions League spots as it stands. And also as well, just thinking back, Bournemouth losing yesterday, Aston Villa losing yesterday. If we'd won that game against Aston Villa on Saturday, we'd be talking about a completely different situation here. We are still 4th. We're still in that Champions League spot. I think we're 1 point behind 3rd place now as well. There are some games coming up tonight as well. So we know that Nottingham Forest and Arsenal are playing. To me, I'd take a draw out of that game. The key one for me, or the key 2 for me, is Tottenham Newcastle. If Tottenham can do us a favour, I'm asking Tottenham to do us a favour. I can't believe it. But if Tottenham can do us a favour tonight and beat Manchester City and Liverpool again, if they can beat Newcastle, I know the league's almost wrapped up. They want to continue their good form. Liverpool at Anfield, I can't see them dropping points. So this is probably a bigger result last night than we actually realised if results go our way again tonight. So Enzo, I thought played well. Enzo Fernandez has been a player that, Aston Villa was brilliant. Last night was brilliant again. We have to credit him in that midfield. He's almost stepped up and, he is the captain. You saw how emotional he was against Villa at the end of that game, the defeat, but you could see he's bounced back from that already. Tuesday, Stamford Bridge, Southampton, under the lights, captain's performance really. And he played really well last night. So look, let's end it on a high. Let's end on a positive. We got to see Tariq George, Josh Ashiyempong, Amagu, all get their debuts last night as well. Or get their some minutes. Sorry, Amagu got his debut, but Tariq George, Ashiyempong getting more minutes under their belt under Maresca. So look, it was always going to be a positive, and we have to credit Tariq George for the assists for Cucurella's goal as well. We need to see a bit more of that, a bit more trust from Enzo Maresca, trusting Josh Ashiyempong, who we know is brilliant. Tariq George looks very comfortable on the ball. I was impressed with Amagu when he came on. I know he didn't really have much time to impact the game, but he came on. He looks good. He looks like a good player. Look like we signed a solid player. Maybe he can get a low move, get him some more experience, and we can bring back Andre Santos in the summer. But yeah, I was impressed with all three of them. All three of them came on and done well. It shows that we have some qualities still on the bench, albeit they're not regular names, household names that we would know or world-class players. But you can trust Tariq George, Achie to come on and just see the game out. Keenan Dewsbury Hall to see the game out. And they're going to be just as important as the likes of Enzo, Caicedo, Pedro Neto in our team for the next 10 or 11 games, whatever it is to go. So I'm impressed. I was impressed. We can't be too happy because it is Southampton and we are going to be coming up against bigger teams, better quality teams in the next 10 games or so. But look, 3 points is 3 points, and it was a really good performance in what looked like it could have been a difficult game when you look back to that first 10 minutes. So take the positives. We move on to the next game. We've got Copenhagen. We've got a weekend off. Obviously, we're not in the FA Cup, so a weekend off this weekend. Copenhagen in the Conference League in the week, and then we go back into the Premier League against Leicester next weekend or weekend's time away. And yeah, let's just continue to hopefully we can push up the league, get our wins, progress through the Conference League, get some players back from injury. Wesley Fofana was on the bench last night, so hopefully we can get more players back in the team. But let me know your thoughts. Drop your thoughts. Don't forget to tell me what you think about the protest in the description and the comments below. And also the game last night, was you impressed? 4-0 and Chelsea make the Champions League? That is the massive question we're asking ourselves. Don't forget to subscribe. We're on the road to 600 subscribers. All of that's good stuff. We will be back very soon. Until then, enjoy the rest of your week. We will be back soon. Thank you very much for watching.